Some places are so ridiculously beautiful, they just don't seem real. And Oya, on the Greek island of Santorini, is definitely one of them. But let me tell you, behind those world-famous sunsets and postcard-perfect views is an absolutely incredible story of survival, human ingenuity, and just raw geological power. So, let's get into it.
Have you ever really thought about it? What would it be like to wake up every single day in a place so perfect it's literally been on the big screen? Well, the village of Oya is probably as close as any of us are going to get.
Exactly. Oya's stunning good looks have made it a go-to backdrop for major films, and that movie set vibe is what draws millions of people there. But what is it about this place that's just so captivating?
Well, you know the image I'm talking about, right? These brilliant white, cube-shaped houses that look like they're practically glued to a cliff, all set against the deepest blue of the Aegean Sea. It's the classic picture of Greece, and Oya is pretty much ground zero. But here's the thing. This amazing design, it wasn't built for us tourists. It was born out of pure necessity. Okay, this is where the story gets really fascinating. The beauty that we're all obsessed with today is a direct result of the islanders finding these super clever ways to deal with some pretty harsh conditions. So let's take a closer look at that signature architecture. So these are called cycladic houses. The style is famous for its simple, clean, geometric shapes, and those bright white walls. It's a trademark of this whole group of islands. But the most ingenious part isn't what you see on the surface. It's what's happening underneath.
Get this. A lot of these homes aren't just built on the cliff, they're actually carved into it. Back in the day, residents, many of them sailors and merchants, literally dug their homes right out of the soft volcanic rock. Talk about a brilliant idea. It was basically a low-cost, natural form of air conditioning that kept them cool in the brutal summer heat and warm in the winter.
And it turns out, even that iconic white and blue color scheme was totally practical. That brilliant white wasn't just for looks. The walls were coated in a lime wash that had two massive benefits. First, it acted as a natural disinfectant, and second, it created a perfectly clean surface to collect every single drop of precious rainwater. In a place with almost no fresh water, that was an absolute game changer. So we have this village built on sheer cleverness. But what do you actually see from up there? Let's talk about the modern experience and that incredible view from Oya's perch. The nickname Eagle's Nest just fits perfectly, doesn't it? Oya sits way up on top of these cliffs with this sweeping panoramic view of the sea and the islands all around. You're really looking down on the world just like an eagle. And from up there, you're not just looking at open water, you're actually seeing other parts of this volcanic archipelago. There are the little islets of Palia and Nea Kameni, which, by the way, mean old burnt and new burnt, and the bigger island of Therasia. And those names, well, they're a huge clue to the much bigger, much more dramatic story that's coming. Today, of course, Oya is a traveler's paradise. You can get lost wandering its little cobblestone lanes, check out its maritime history, or climb the ruins of an old castle to see what people swear is the most beautiful sunset on Earth. But to truly understand that view, you have to understand the ground you're standing on. All right, this is it. The final, massive piece of the puzzle. The whole scene, the cliffs, the islands, the sea itself, is all the result of one of the most violent events in all of human history. I just love this description. Santorini isn't really one solid island. It's what's left of one. It basically forms a broken ring, a crown of rock that wraps around the water. And that water in the middle, that's not a bay. It's the flooded heart of a volcano. And here is the date you need to know. Around 1600 BCE, the volcano that used to be here erupted with a force that is just impossible to imagine. It was an event that changed the course of ancient history and literally blew an entire island apart. So let's just trace how this happened. First, you have that massive eruption. The explosion was so huge that the entire center of the volcano just collapsed inward, creating this giant basin. Then, the sea rushed in to fill it up, and those little islands we saw earlier, Palia and Nea Kameni, the burnt islands, they were formed by later, smaller eruptions pushing up from the seafloor. And that giant sea-filled basin, it has a name. It's a caldera. And Santorini is one of the most famous examples of a half-sunken caldera anywhere on the planet. So those cliffs that Oya is built on, That's not a coastline. It is the towering, jagged rim of an ancient collapsed volcano. Every single one of those beautiful houses is clinging to the edge of a cataclysm.
So the next time you see a picture of Oya, you're going to see so much more than just a pretty village. You'll see an architecture of survival, a view from an eagle's nest, and the fiery crown of a volcano. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many incredible stories are hidden just beneath the surface of all the beautiful places we think we know.